Hi, everybody, and welcome. Most of you, I'm very excited about tonight. We have one of my dearest friends and one of the best divorce coaches, mediators, and she's a whole lot of other things, including a podcast host and an author out there. And her name is Paulette Rigo. So I am so excited to have her here today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Sonia. I am one of the founders of Divorceify. I am a divorce attorney, and I'm also divorced myself. One of the missions at Divorceify is to really help people going through divorce and meeting them wherever you are in your process. We want to help you get connected to the right professionals, the right information, and the right resources. So today we bring you one of the best resources out there. Paulette's extensive experience, not only in the divorce world, but also her own personal 8.5-year litigated and appellate experience with her own divorce. So 8.5 years. She has extensive knowledge. She gets it. And she is one of the best out there to really help you. And today she is talking to us about the 12 worst divorce mistakes that women make. Divorce is utterly confusing, it's overwhelming, and all of those things combined really lead to one thing: making bad decisions. And she is here today to help you avoid making those 12 worst mistakes that women make in divorce. So Paulette, my dear, welcome.
Thank you, Sonia. It's such an honor to be here. When I first met you a few years ago, I just could not believe the depth of knowledge and the integrity that you hold in your tiny little body and your big heart. So it was an honor and always will be to call you a peer, a mentor, a friend, and I commend you and Casey and Tolly what you have created in Divorceify. It is so needed because you need support and community and tools to get through the journey. I myself, when I embarked on my own divorce journey, had none of that. And let's just say I screwed up royally. Anytime I am asked by someone who's embarking on the beginning of the journey, like, where do I start? What do I do? I'm overwhelmed. The list of emotions is not usually just overwhelmed. It's a very long one, and it's really easy to make a lot of mistakes. So through that, I've been collating and organizing, not really because I wanted to, but because I was witnessing the mistakes that women were making. And I don't mean to pick on women, ladies, like, hey, I'm one of them, like, join the club. But we tend to be the person that files for divorce. 70% of divorce is filed by women. Sure, that's not always, a standard amount. It might differ per country and per state a bit, but that's a pretty standard number. And because of that, when women are the drivers of the car and the initiators, they tend to feel more regret and guilt and tend to act out of emotion and not necessarily pragmatic, practical. Mindset is a little bit reactive instead of proactive. So I think tonight's presentation is going to be simple, easy, focused direction. And if you are embarking on the divorce journey, I am more than happy to send anybody this PDF. It's very simple. I think it's only 9 pages. So, and I thought it would be best to have more of a conversation than so much of like a PowerPoint presentation. There's an organic conversation based on my years of personal experience and professional experience. So right off the bat, I've noticed that the very first mistake that is so typical of most women is that they trust that their spouse will do the right thing versus the wrong thing, right? And You want to be really idealistic and like, what does that mean? But when you get into a relationship, naturally, there's the romance that's involved and the idyllic fantasy of the dress and the cake and the party, also known as a wedding, and the invitations and the gifts and the honeymoon, and all of that comes together with like the idealization of what a marriage is going to look like. And when things and you start to trust each other because, well, you're married now. He's no longer your boyfriend. He's no longer your fiance. He's your husband, and it's natural to want to trust your husband, your partner. But when the conversation shifts to divorce, things change. And I know you married for love, like I did too. And love is supposed to conquer all and last forever. And you trust each other to always have each other's back and always do the right thing. But here's the thing, there is rarely the case in divorce. It normally shifts where one or both of the parties act out of anger, sadness, fear, and sometimes personality issues. And emotions run high. And when money is involved, watch out. So typically it's that feeling of just trusting that the partner will do the right thing. I know I did that, and it was a big mistake. And moving on to number two, they confide in the wrong people. Now, what do I mean by that? It's that list of people that you think will be have your back. So your best friend, your neighbors, your siblings, your parents, your people in your circle, in your sphere, your workers, your coworkers, your boss. And they may not be the best people to confide in. They typically have come with their own agenda. They'll typically come with their own feelings and thoughts and their own personal experiences of what divorce should look like. Maybe they've had a bad experience. Maybe their family, somebody is in their family's had a bad experience. And typically, when you confide in the wrong people, it comes back to bite you. So I advise you, don't go there. Don't confide in the wrong people. And knowing who the right people are, no, that takes some time, and really seeking out some person in your life that has the integrity to really honor your privacy and your confidentiality, and engaging in a relationship with a professional in which sacred space, everything goes there. So be careful. Be careful not to confide in the wrong people. And number three, hiring the wrong attorney. Um, you may or may not need an attorney. Most people need one at some point in the decision, whether that be a mediation or a collaborative process, even arbitration, and definitely litigation. I love attorneys. Some of my best friends are attorneys. But hiring the wrong attorney can be a costly, expensive, lengthy mistake. And even if you don't need to engage in litigation, you will need an experienced attorney to look over the agreement, to be certain that nothing has been overlooked and you understand everything in the agreement. And matching your legal needs with your understanding of your emotional needs are two separate entities. Making sure that the demeanor of the attorney matches your own personality is important too. Meaning, if you're the person that expects really prompt response and your attorney is a little bit more laissez-faire, laid back, it's not going to be a great decision to work with them. If your attorney is a little bit old school and you tend to be a little more new school, it's very important to find the match of your demeanor and their demeanor and their expertise. Is their expertise more in custody cases or prenuptial agreements, or is it business evaluations? It's important to find that expert. Family law is family law, but there are specialties that many family attorneys really know it's their expertise. So I advise that you interview several and make sure you ask good, solid questions and choose wisely. Number four, that you're praying, hoping, wishing, and waiting for your spouse to change. What's that saying? If it acts like a duck and looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, well, guess what? It's a duck. When push comes to shove, the odds of either spouse changing during times of extreme stress are so slim. It's a matter of what you see is what you get. Typically, people don't change. If they do, it's not during divorce. Number five, downplay or accept the 7 types of abuse. Well, this is a heated topic, and I think most people consider abuse to be the physical or the sexual nature because those are typically the ones that get the most press. Obviously, physical abuse shows bruises, scratches, broken bones. Sexual abuse, the evidence is a little bit harder to detect, but it's there. And it's the mental, psychological, emotional abuse that tends to be more deep seated and can linger deep in the recesses of your mind and your soul, and dare I say, the body. And many times it takes years for them to rise to a level of being more conscious. Those are the negative parts when you say, they didn't mean it, or he'll change, or gosh, maybe it was me. And I'm getting a little bit more into the different types of what that might look like, and that would be another conversation per se. But again, those financial abuse, I mean, I know that it's so easy to just renege and allow your partner to pay the bills and take care of the taxes and really take care of the insurance and all of the other aspects of the marital responsibilities of just maintaining a household. But don't make that mistake. And if you already have, so be it. But it's that accepting of the abuse and downplaying it, where you say it's not that bad, or it'll change. Bad mistake. It typically is not going to change. So that's a big mistake I see a lot of, really rationalizing and seeing that that abuse is acceptable. Number six, being in the dark of your marital finances, and that goes for assets as well as liabilities. You know, they say ignorance is bliss, but when it comes to your finances, it is so not true. Always read over every financial document and be certain you have access to all your marital tax returns, receipts, real estate titles, bank statements, pension investments, annuities, 401k, whatever it is. Don't be in the dark and just allow the financial wealth or health of your marriage and divorce to be not something that you are aware of. Being in the dark of your financial assets will never serve you, particularly in divorce. And number seven, getting involved in a new relationship too early. I see this all the time with clients. Dating may sound really fun and adventurous and a little bit like a fresh start, where you can kind of forget the turmoil and the exhaustion and the interrogatories and the mediation and the parenting plan and all those things that can, be a part of any divorce journey. And they may or may not be, based on your situation. And dating and relationships can be a bit of a sparkly object. I used to have a sign in my house that said, I was going to do something to change the world today, but something sparkly caught my eye. And many times a relationship can be that way when you're going through a divorce. Now, if a divorce is long, it's very natural for a relationship to spark up during a long seated divorce proceeding. Anything that takes longer than a year or two is quite common where somebody will start dating. But If the divorce proceedings are slow or short, I'm sorry, or short and not really taking up too much, and they jump right into a new relationship, it's not always a great decision. So, um, both spouses also need to come to terms with a communication about how the marriage is dissolving and when and if the children will be aware of a new relationship and bringing a new relationship into either party's world. It can really become contentious when one of the partners jumps into the water and just dives into a new relationship very quickly, and the other partner isn't. Um, Not only is it a heartbreak all over again if it doesn't work out, and hey, it may, but if it's worth it, it will work out. And to be patient during that, getting involved in a new relationship too soon has so many consequences. So take your time. Um, Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That's a saying that was from, I think, the Marines, but it's true. So just keep it slow and keep moving forward. Number 8, sharing any details or spousal attacks with the children. It is so easy to do when you're in the middle of a heated, contentious conversation or just a little spat about anything, like you dropped them off late or um, they weren't communicating appropriately, or you're going through some sort of finger pointing and blaming. And it is so easy to say, oh, your mother did that or your father did that. But just really make sure that you're sparing the details um, regarding the divorce or anything else, not with the children. Call a friend, journal, sing in the shower, do anything you can to avoid being confrontational in front of the children and involving them in communication where they're witnessing spousal attacks or finger pointing or blame about dad or mom. They are half mom and half dad, and they're immediately feeling attacked when one or both of the parties speaks badly about the other. They say, oh, well, if mom's bad, then I must be half bad. And if dad's a loser, then I must be half a loser. Or if mom's a fill in the blank, I must be fill in the blank. It's so damaging for them to hear that. So never take the bait and share facts, particularly that have to do with finances and legal concerns. And also rumors about the spouse, like what they're doing, where they're going. Um, yeah, it's just devastating to them. It's important to spare the children the drama by simply reassuring them the divorce is not their fault, that they're safe, and that both parents love them, and keep it at that. So we go on to number 9, and this is one of my favorites: lowering yourself to argue, yell, name call, or engage in what I call text warfare. It's so easy. Back when I was going through my journey, texting wasn't quite as commonplace as it is now, although it was getting to be. It was like 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It was a long divorce. So, and I want you all to know that so much evidence in a divorce proceeding, even if it's amicable and there's a little bit of things to work on, come from social media and texting. It is not something that you want to engage in. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of retaliating when it seems so innocent, right? Right, ladies, you just pick up your phone and you look at the text and you go, really? Did he just say that to me? And you immediately, choreograph in your mind a reaction, and you think, or you ask a friend, or you're like, how should I respond to this? Or even worse, you just emotionally vomit and just start engaging, and the emotional vomiting via your thumbs on your phone It's so easy to retaliate when people criticize you, lie to you, disregard you, and manipulate you. I'm not saying everyone does that, but if they do, how easy is it for you to just jump on that? So let it go with grace. I know it's hard. Find the courage and strength to rise above reacting. I call texting Satan. I used to call soda Satan, soda and texting. Number 10. I feel like David, what's his name? It'll come to me, right? Throwing in the towel on any outcome just to be done with it. It's so easy to just want to give up and say, I am so over this. And yes, you both really want the divorce to be fast, right? And efficient and painless. Well, I've not met too many people where divorces were fast, efficient, and painless. Chances are it just won't be. And this is the time in your life where you have to completely identify and commit to revisiting persistence, patience, and perseverance. The reason they all start with the letter P, so you can remember them. Again, patience, persistence, and perseverance, and they're your best friend. If you have to take an index card and write those 3 words out and tape it all over the house, anytime you feel like you just want to give up, it's a great reminder to know this too shall pass. I will get through this. I am worthy of the process. And just knowing that throwing in the towel and just giving up is not usually in your best interest. Number 11, thinking that social media is your best friend and harmless fun. Well, it's not. And I'm not saying social media is bad. I'm not saying it's good. It just is. And every year there are more and more forms of social media. Back when it was, MySpace and instant messaging and Yahoo, it was kind of innocuous. Not now. It is commonplace. And, divorce occurs. I think 50% of divorces between the 4th year and the 8th year of marriage, which means it's usually when people are young, and the younger they are, 20s, 30s, 40s, that they're experiencing the journey of divorce. They don't consider that social media is out of the norm. It's how they communicate. It's how they share life experiences. It's how they celebrate life's ups and downs and where they went and what they did. And but in the unique setting of a divorce, it is not a wise thing. The statistics recently have been social media is only second to texting. 85% of divorce evidence comes from social media, and it never is a good, it's not always good. So, when in doubt, maybe even consider deleting your social media accounts and rise to the temptation to sneak a peek at your ex. And when it comes to stalking, that's another conversation, but it's not going to shine a light positively on you. Let it go. Once you make the decision to divorce, unless it comes to the safety and well being of your children, you need your privacy. You deserve your privacy. They need their privacy and they deserve their privacy. I had a conversation earlier today about automatically, is it a decision to block or delete your ex from your social media accounts? I think it's an individual personal decision, but it's something you should consider. Is it possible to maintain friends? That may be a whole nother conversation too. But during the procedures, I suggest that you really understand that all forms of social media are not your friend. And lastly, number 12, ruining your health and your well being as a result of mismanaging the stress, the anger, the fear, sadness, and overwhelm, and probably 9 other words that you want to throw in there during the divorce. You know, it's inevitable that at some point during the divorce proceedings, whether you're contemplating divorce and you're at the very beginning of the journey, and you're still really managing the emotional part of should I or shouldn't I, and understanding that wow, this is forever. This is going to change the complete future, the trajectory and the outcome of my life and my children's life and my spouse's life. Once you get through that initial stage of the contemplating and you move on to the process, and there's so many different manners in which that divorce can occur. There's different ways in which people can divorce. It's always filled with a rocky road of emotions. So you have this emotional journey, you have the financial journey, and you have the practical journey of where are we going to live and who's going to stay in the house? Do we sell the house? And do we wait until the children are out of high school to consider selling the house? Who knows? Of course, then there's the concept of nesting where the kids stay in the middle and people go back and forth. Whatever route you pick, it's always going to be filled with emotion. And practicing the art of what I call the art of extreme self care begins the moment you embark on the divorce journey. It doesn't start when you file, it doesn't start when you're done. It starts the minute that you have that feeling, that emotion of this is just not going to last. It's not sustainable for whatever reasons you're personally going through. And when you're going through the divorce journey now, this moment in time is all that matters. It now is really the only time that you have. And the future wellness that you embark on really depends on your happiness. It's never worth it. So what happens a lot of time is the sleep goes to hell, right? There's just the sleep patterns get destroyed. We either overeat or undereat. We rely on gossip and negative input where other people's mitigating outside influences can emotionally really harbor feelings that are damaging to us. Whatever role in which your emotional and physical emotional well-being takes place, it is never worth ruining your health over divorce. I've also seen many people get ill. If they're borderline on an illness, the illness sparks up, whether that be diabetes, heart disease, weight gain, whatever. And it can be just an emotional journey too. So prioritize your health. Now is the time to really calendar when you're going to go to bed, when you're going to get up, when you're going to take care of yourself, and stick to it. Because moving forward through the journey, it's much like they say, you're nothing without your health. It's so true. It sounds really cliche, but it's so true. And if there's ever a point in your life, if you're embarking on a divorce journey, that you need to prioritize your well-being, this is the time. So those are the top mistakes I see time and time again. Are there other mistakes? Of course. But these are the ones I think, well, I know because I see them. I made them, my clients make them. As a mediator, I see a lot of those things reap they kind of bubble up to the surface when I see that those mistakes are being acted on. And then as a certified divorce coach, naturally it's a much longer relationship. If I'm mediating, I may only get to know someone for 4 hours. It's a shorter process. So those things don't always rear their head. But when I get to work with somebody for that period before and during and after, it's much easier to witness those mistakes and immediately point them out so that they don't make them anymore. I hope that's been of help. And thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much. This was fantastic. So I want to open it up
I'm
to
going to say something.
questions, comments. Paulette, it's, in my own practice, I have seen so many of the mistakes. There we are. Now we can all kind of see each other that you have discussed. So few questions. Many of the clients that we have that have gone through the divorce advice system are sort of in the beginning of the process. They have made the decision to get divorced and they have no idea where to start.
Mm.
What do you recommend? What do you think in your practice and your experience? Where does somebody start? Do they start with an attorney? Do they start with educating themselves? Do they go to a divorce coach, their therapist? Where do they start?
Well, Sonia, that's a brilliant question. I remember being in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, when I finally came to the decision that I could no longer pretend to be in a marriage that was happy. And the first thing I did was grab a yellow pages. And I didn't live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I lived in Boston, Massachusetts, but I happened to be there skiing. And I thought the first thing I had to do was ask an attorney what to do. And the list, and these are back in the days when people actually used yellow pages. It was 2007, 8. And I just share that story because it's such a different world now, right? I mean, do they even make yellow pages? Like, I mean, tangible ones. I don't mean like digital ones, I know, but it was a different world. But I actually picked up the phone and dialed the number, and I got I think it was a secretary or receptionist, and it was the wrong place to start. I needed to start, and all of and everyone out there, there's so much to take into consideration, right? I mean, where do you start? Where do you end? There isn't a place where divorce will not and does not affect your life. It's just it will affect every cell in your body, every penny you own, every child you bared, every relationship you've ever engaged in. And taking your time to really understand everything that needs to be taken into consideration is vital to your well-being in every aspect of it. In my opinion, as a professional, both personally enduring it and getting through my own litigated trial that was 12 days over 9 months, and then the decision was not accepted and it went through the appellant process. It was so long that I had so much time that I spent in a courtroom, and I kind of wish I'd gone through law school through all that. It would have been beneficial, but I was like, it would have been like an internship in studying family law, matrimonial relationships. So, number one is to start with your thought process. Like, what is it that you're actually thinking? And then next is, and write that down. Like, what are you thinking? Process it. Don't just, I have all these thoughts, but process all the thoughts that we typically say, I can't deal with that. It's too scary. And to really write down and start with the thought process. And next is to feel the feelings. It's a kinesthetic, physical a process that you go through when you divorce. It's a separation that you have from self, from family, from expectations, from everything that you ever thought that your future might look like. So thinking and of your thought process, and then feeling the feelings associated to the thoughts. And number three, deciding what you want. You have to be absolutely certain of what you want. Number four, taking responsibility for your part in the marriage. And what point did you or did you not contribute to where the marriage is now? I usually do this with my clients or when they find me. And I say, you've met each other and you kind of rise to this level of like mutuality where the relationship is congruent. And then, life goes on and we ebb and flow and it's not always like perfect. But one day somebody starts to give a little less, or, they're misbehaving, or they're kind of just disconnected from the relationship. And this person has a choice. They can either go over and lift them up, or they can go over and push them down. And this person reacts according to it. And sometimes if you lift them up, then they're back at that point of reciprocity. And it isn't always like that simple, but it's a very good indication of that that relationship. But let's say the relationship is here and this person says, I can't do this anymore. I just can't be in a relationship with that my partner is not giving, and it's not reciprocal, and there isn't a sense of connection and communication. And when your core values aren't in alignment, it starts to break down the trust in the relationship. The next thing is really knowing that if there are or are not deal breakers, if there are red flags, and in my book, Better Divorce Blueprint, there are 31 of them that I have, and common reasons why relationships do not, common reasons why marriages do not survive. And marriages are relationships naturally. It's just a relationship that's gone to a different level. When you have that list of deal breakers, and that could probably be a whole nother webinar masterclass, but I could spend hours on that one. The more you have, the less likely that the marriage can survive in a healthy manner. So knowing if you have them, what they are, and how you can fix them, heal them, um, and if you can't, and what uh, alternatives and actions you have to move forward. And then from that decision is like, how do you prepare yourself and how do you protect yourself financially, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, physically, all aspects of it, and slowing down and not just making rash, quick decisions. That initial part of the journey is so important. I find that many people will just react, call the attorney, I want a divorce, get me out of this, without going through your thought process, feeling your feelings, deciding what you want, being responsible for yourself, knowing if you have or don't have deal breakers, and how to really protect and prepare yourself for the journey ahead. Um, I mean, it goes even deeper with honoring your values, how to tell the children, how to decide what's right for you, and knowing the different ways that you could perhaps end the marriage, the outside influences that you have, and being very mindful and conscious in all of your decisions. That's how we want to start.
I perfectly said. So, since we have you here, and there's going to be many people that are going to watch this recording, Paulette, can you explain to us what your role as a divorce coach is? What is a divorce coach? How does somebody know they need a divorce coach? What's
Mm,
the difference between a divorce coach and a mental health professional?
that's a brilliant question, Sonia. Thank you. I get that a lot, but not enough. And it starts when the journey of the internal dialogue starts of confusion and overwhelm. Think about embarking on any major life change alone without a thinking partner and a resource and an expert to hold your hand, like literally and figuratively. And I know holding hands right now is not as common as it used to be, but you know what I mean. I wish I, could jump through the screens of everybody and say, I'm here with you. But imagine embarking on any major life decision alone. In my opinion, it's terrifying. And it's so easy to make rash, quick decisions that are not in your best interest. Um, so, the difference between a divorce coach, particularly one that has had the personal experience, the professional experience, and the education and training behind it, is knowing that they have your back. They're going to walk through the fire with you and be your cheerleader, your advocate, your coach, your, as in like a sports coach would be too, and be that person that will really unconditionally have your back. They are a thinking partner and somebody that you can bounce questions off of, get your questions answered. And if they don't know the answer, I'm the first to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I know someone that does. Now, there's a bridge between the legal realm of the journey of divorce, and I don't give legal advice, although my attorney, when I went through my own litigated case, so many people reached out to me because my case became really well known, like lucky me. And my phone rang a lot and I got letters and my doorbell rang and saying like, gosh, I like heard about you. Like, I need help. Can you help me? And I remember calling my attorney and saying like, not right away, but a little bit into it saying, should I go to law school? And he was like, you'd be one hell of a litigator. You should probably consider it. And I think I cursed at him and said, nope. But that's where I made the decision to kind of focus. And I don't do anything half. I'm a deep learner and a constant learner. And I like to make sure that I really dot my I's and cross my T's. But knowing that the breadth of the divorce journey and the depth of it are different. So on one hand, you have the legal side, right? Sonia, that's like your expertise. And then you have the financial part, the CDFAs, the certified divorce lending professionals. And I see Jen Lawrence, she's a CDFA. Hi, honey. And there's so many other aspects of it. So you've got the legal hat and you've got the financial hat, which are so important. Like, do not overlook those two. But then you have the parenting part of it. If you've got kids, and if you don't, like, well, that's a little bit simpler. And the aspects of maybe even having a GAL involved, and the aspects of, let's say, the residents and like the realtor experts. If you have a certified divorce real estate expert and a certified divorce lending professional in the mortgage realm, there's a whole deck of cards of people to pick from. You may or may not need them all, right? The legal, residential, mortgage, financial, parenting, and then you have the psychological, mental, emotional part. Now, if somebody's really struggling with depression, anxiety, abuse, addiction, pathways of family dynamics in which that they're just having a really hard time getting to the point of getting out of the old story and moving into the new story, I am the first to say, I believe it would be very beneficial for you to have mental health practitioner as well in this journey. It could be somebody that also has expertise in the family dynamics of the divorce journey. And of course, every case is going to be different. I myself am like the glue that holds the web together. If you imagine a spider web, right? And there's like the core or the spokes of a wheel. You have the axis and you have these spokes that come out of it. It's like the divorce coach is the center of the spider web. The divorce coach is the core of the spokes of a wheel, or it's like the bullseye of the target. You can use whatever visual or analogy you want, but it's that glue that keeps all of the different parts of the divorce journey moving forward, because there's nothing worse than being stuck. And particularly in the situation that we're in right now, where the courts are a little bit, well, different, and everybody's kind of treading water and not really knowing whether we're ever going to go in court again, actually, like in a building with benches. And, back in the days when people would get their day in court and you'd go to court, will that ever happen again? I'm assuming it will, but it's a different journey. The divorce picture looks different than it used to when you're going through a hearing, or you have a motion where the judge is present. The divorce picture looks different now, and there's many different aspects of the divorce journey that can get either ignored or overly emphasized. I find that my role is to keep goal oriented, solution oriented, and progress oriented. That's my role, and always being that advocate. My clients, in fact, I just got a text from several of them right now, saying sometimes they voice record me, they text me, I'm always inundated with questions, and attorneys don't roll that way, and that's okay. It's a different role that we play. I see myself as that partner that I wish I had, and somebody to have calmed me down, or to motivated me when I got apathetic and lazy, and to let me take a deep breath and tell me that I'm worthy and okay, and I'm going to get through it.
Incredible. Any questions from anybody else? I am not going to keep you. This woman has been talking all afternoon, Miss Paulette, to sharing your knowledge with so many people. So I'm going to open it up to any other questions. And if not, then Paulette, please let people know when we send out the recording, we will have Paulette's contact information there. But for anybody else, please let us know, how do people reach you?
Oh, Sonny, it's so easy. It's betterdivorceacademy.com. I'm all over social media. I don't know. I'm not obsessed with it because be careful, it's not always your best friend. But I have a podcast called the Thriving in Chaos Project, because that's what divorce is. You have to keep thriving in the chaos. I'm also on Clubhouse Wednesdays at 7, Sundays at 8. So anybody on Clubhouse, I just got off a call before this one. It's an amazing journey to be there of service on the podcast, on Clubhouse. I'm a speaker, a writer, a coach. This is my life's work. I consider it a responsibility, a gift, and an honor to be able to do this work and serve women so that they can get out of all of this and start on their next chapter. I'm blissfully, happily remarried. I'm not anti-marriage. I'm not pro-divorce. I'm not pro-litigation. I am pro making your marriage the best it possibly can be so that you can really live your best life that you deserve and desire.
The best, my friend.
Love you, all of you ladies. Keep walking the walk and keep your chin up, stand tall, shoulders back. You got this. I got your back. betterdivorceacademy.com. I am honored to be here for all of you. Everybody listening on the recording live, Sonia, thank you. I honor Divorcify. You guys are the best. And having a relationship with you and Tolly and Casey is life-changing and such an honor. I am honored and privileged to know you.
I did not pay her to say this. I adore you, my friend.
I do not bullshit. I do not lie. It's just the truth. I walk my walk. I talk my talk. And yeah, that's what it's about.
Deepest of gratitude to sharing your knowledge with all of us, Paulette. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anytime. All my love.
Bye-bye.